Today I fucked up by showing my balls to both of my sisters-in-law. Full disclosure, this happened last week. Also, my balls are in here. A few guys and I, including both of my brothers, have a group text message that's been going for years. We mostly use it to talk about games, movies, and sometimes really bizarre stuff. Last week I had had a few drinks and I thought it would be hilarious to trick the guys into looking at my balls. So I made this picture and sent it to the group. A few weeks prior to this, I made another group text with both of my brothers and their wives to start making plans for our parents' 50th wedding anniversary next year. Well, it turns out I sent the picture to the wrong group. TL Doctor meant to send my balls to the boys, sent them to my brothers' wives instead. I really am convinced that we men all have the same friend groups. And now you've showed your balls to the entire internet. You're welcome. Ha 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 ha, at least you didn't attempt to full-on brain your brothers, that could have been much worse lol. I think I recovered nicely. Ha, your brothers now know you've got balls. I'm the youngest. They've been nut-tapping me for 35 goddamned years. Sounding like the start to a sweet porno toe. What are you doing, step bro? Today I fucked up by making my therapist think I do coke and want to fuck my mom. This happened in college. Went to my college's counseling center because I moved away from my old therapist and was in the market for a new one. I got this old dude who tried painfully hard to be hip and fun. The very first thing he said was, "I'm the hip fun counselor, and I ain't no snitch, so you can tell me anything." So we get to talking, me explaining my shit, and he just talks and talks. I really was just waiting for my turn to talk after he kept going on for like 10 minutes of the allotted 30. I was taking a psychology course at the time, so when he said something about how people have Freudian slips, I cut in. Yeah, I also am addicted to cocaine and want to fuck my mom. He closes his eyes for a second and raises his hands, in retrospect clearly not picking up on my sarcasm, and just keeps talking. I thought he just didn't think the joke was funny. He used the phrase, so I assumed he knew about the guy. I went about the entire rest of the session and thought nothing was amiss. I kind of saw him as just a temporary fix, and basically told him none of the important details I tell my therapists that I actually click with. I just kind of kept going to the sessions because they were free, and he didn't seem like the worst counselor. 5 sessions later, in the middle of a long ramble about me being anxious to try new antidepressants after a few bad reactions to them in the past, he casually said, "Well, you don't seem to have much anxiety about other drugs." To which I reply, defensively, "What are you talking about?" He says, "It's okay, nothing leaves these walls, you know that." And after a few seconds of painful silence, a blessing given the lack of it our sessions usually have, he says, "Well, I understand why you're so defensive. Being addicted to any drug can be difficult to face, especially a drug like cocaine." Keeps talking, but before he can go on another 5-minute ramble I cut him off and tell him calmly I'm not addicted to cocaine. I've never done cocaine in my life. "What are you talking about?" He says, "But you already told me that you were. Why are you so afraid to face it?" Having no idea what the fuck he's talking about, I respond, "What the fuck are you talking about? I never told you that." He replies, "Flaming joints, I don't know why you're lying to yourself. You told me that the very first session." It was at this point that it finally clicked. I shouted that was a joke. Way too loudly. Those little white noise machines inside every room, outside every room, and around every corner were absolutely not enough to even muffle the sound that came out of my mouth. This did absolutely nothing to change this man's opinion, instead backfiring as he now thought that I was coked up. Currently, we went back and forth for a minute or so, but shortly thereafter I wound up walking out of the session and explaining to the receptionist calmly that I'd like to switch counselors. I called and cancelled the appointment and never went back to that building. Too long didn't read. I sarcastically told my therapist that I am a coke addict that wants to fuck his mother after he used the word Freudian, and he did not pick up on my sarcasm. That guy talks to people for a living, and can't get a basic joke about the topic he's talking about. He's way more fucked up than you are. Most psychologists are in fact, odd fucking people. How does that make you feel? Like I want to do coke? Dude, you're taking this denial thing really far. I was a therapist at a college for 10 years. If one of my patients told me they were a coke addict that wanted to fuck his mom, I would probably think that is not to the weirdest thing I've heard in any given semester. To be honest, I eat coke every day and I have technically fucked my mother-in-law. Today I fucked up by daring to sleep naked. This did happen today, although I very much wish it hadn't. I have 3 kids. I love my kids, but because of the virus, we have been spending a lot of time together cooped up in the house. I know a lot of you can relate. I stay at home with them while my husband works pretty long hours, so it's just me and the spawn, playing board games and watching The Simpsons and trying not to kill each other. My Mill is a sweet and wonderful lady who saw my suffering, or at least lack of personal space, and offered to take the kids on the annual beach vacation she and her sister take every year. Almost 2 weeks by myself, and my husband, but he would be at work most of the time. I practically kissed her feet. Bye, children. I spent my leisure time watching The Simpsons alone, enjoying the silence, and not having to cook every meal for a family of 5. One thing I had been getting used to is sleeping in my underwear. I'm pretty shy, and I am used to at least one of my tiny children running into my room in the middle of the night because they need water / had a nightmare / just want to bother me / etc. I haven't slept in anything but full PJs for years. It's nice to just strip down and hop into bed without having to worry about scarring the kids for life. I would really like to sleep naked, because it's hot here, but I hadn't worked up the courage to break the habit of covering up before bed. Fast forward almost 2 weeks later to yesterday afternoon. I was FaceTiming with the kids and I really missed them. Missed them so much I teared up a little as I say goodbye, and my Mill said not to worry, they will be back in 2 days. So last night I was getting ready for bed and I figured, tonight is the night. I won't have another chance like this for a long time, so tonight I sleep naked. And it was wonderful. I slept what I can only imagine is the sleep of the childless. It got hot early this morning, so I leisurely kicked the blankets off and stretched out on the bed. Great. Why didn't I try this sooner? All of the sudden, the door to my bedroom burst open and my children were there, screaming surprise. I stared at them, because I am paralyzed. They stared at me, because their mother was ass-butt naked. I locked eyes with my Mill, standing behind the kids in the doorway. Then everyone moved at once. Closed my open door in the kids' faces, I covered up with a sheet, and I could hear all 4 of them laughing at me in the hallway the whole time. I guess she saw how much I missed my babies last night and got them ready to go very early this morning to surprise me. She has a key to our house for emergencies. Maybe this story seems tame, especially for those of you who are more comfortable wearing your underpants, or even being naked, in front of your family. But for me, this is mortifying. And if I know my kids, I know they will never stop making fun of me for this. It really made their week. Little bastards. I'm glad they're back. TL, doctor, I finally summon the courage to sleep naked while my kids are gone, only to be surprised and mocked by said kids and laughed at by mother-in-law. I do not see a problem. You are a family and there is no stress about being nude in the bedroom. I think as more you talk about, the kids would worry. Go easy and as normal, so then within 2 weeks you all will have an amazing story to talk about. My mom would have reacted the same had this happened when I was a child. My dad, on the other hand, was the type to strip down to his underwear upon coming home from work. I guess I grew up with both worlds. Smiley face. For what it's worth, I credit my father's free-spirited nature as the reason I'm comfortable with my body, despite its many flaws. Regardless, funny story. Same thing here, which is why I shouldn't worry so much, I guess. My husband has no qualms about sleeping naked / walking around the house in his underwear. I know these standards vary, but I'm always surprised nudity within the family, around kids, is considered a taboo by some. Me and my wife have always slept naked, ever since we've met 16 years ago. And we walk around naked all the time, and so do the kids, 2 + 5, especially in this hot weather. It feels perfectly natural. This is Central Europe for you, smile. Funny story though. Maybe you've broken the taboo and it will feel more natural from now on, smile. Yeah, as I said, my husband has no problem with strutting around our kids, all under 10 years, in his underwear, and he sleeps naked. I don't care about him doing it either. But for some reason I just can't do it. Just bashful, I guess. They don't make fun of him, but they know I'm shy, so they make fun of me relentlessly. Mom is naked. Also, yes, as far as I know everyone in Europe is naked all the time. /s, maybe I should take them there so they can point and laugh at someone else. You gotta be able to nude in your own bedroom. It's not a big deal, I mean they are your kids. Who cares if they see you naked once?